Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Well, I want to show you right quick. I know I've done videos on setting this R72 up for soybeans and wheat, which it's basically the same thing. However, though, I now want to show you right quick on setting it up for corn. And so it's not that big a deal. But yeah, I'll bring you in here and as I go around it and just show you different things I do getting it set for corn. Okay, you'll need a 3/4 inch wrench to take and tighten these bolts up or loosen the bolts. And what this does is it unlocks this sheave for your variable speed header drive for the corn head. And if you have it set just right, you don't even have to take and try and turn the thing. Okay, turn that ring like that, tighten it back up. Then just take and tighten your bolts back down. Get the back one. Okay, that's got that part. Next thing, you're going to want to take and slow your chopper speed down. And I'm not too sure how well you can see that on camera, but there's my pry bar. There's a hole on that belt idler. And there, you saw the belt loosen up. Now, normally, if you're outside, you can take and put your unload auger out and flip this panel up. But I'm inside the shed. Just going to pop that off the big pulley. There's a small pulley right behind there. And you're going to put the belt back behind this idler here, like that, over. And now we're ready to go on to the small pulley down here, like that. Okay, and then you just let back off with your pry bar. That's got the belt tightened up. Next thing I'll do is I'll show you about pulling the knives out of the chopper right there. Take a 9/16 wrench. Loosen up each one of them bolts. And then you're going to want to take a pry bar. Stick up in there and pull the knives out of the chopper. There we go, just like that. All right, now the knives are pulled. Then take and tighten them back up. Same thing over here. Okay, that's got the chopper ready to go. Next thing you're going to want to do is jump up here behind the motor, and right here is your straw spreader drive. Grab yourself a 2x6 or a 2x4 or something. Step right there, and it'll kick that up. That's the idler. Kick that board through. Take your belt off. That way you can take and slow this down. Throw your belt off up here on top, and then we'll jump back down below to the driver's side. Okay, now right here's the driver. You're going to just move that from the big pulley to the small one on the back. And here it is going back up. Then jump back up behind, put the belt, move it from the small pulley on that end to the big pulley, and that'll slow it down. All right, go from small to big, put your belt on. Hopefully you can see halfway decent. Take and step back on that spring thing. Make sure your tensioner's up. Go ahead and pull your board out of there. And then just take and put your belt on top of your idlers, going right across here. And that's got it. Now we're on the inside part of the idlers. And now the straw splitter is slowed down to low speed. Next thing you're going to want to do is jump up here behind the engine. Get you a good light. Get that set over there. Pop up this access door. There we are. And I'll show you what I do here, setting the rotor on the concave clearance. I've got the rotor right now shifted in the neutral. Hopefully I can spin it with my fingers. There we go. Oh. All right, now we're good to go. And of course, I know I've shown this lots of times. Over this, here's your concave going clear across here, from here going clear down. And I've got to adjust it open. I'm actually running up on number 14 right now currently. And like I've said before, this up here is going to be your closest point at the top. And so usually what I do, I go by about the thickness of the corn cob. And for that closest area right there, and that's usually how I take and set the concave for concave clearance. And it's always worked good that way. Just stick your fingers through there. Just make sure you don't get them smashed. And like I say, I can feel it right down through there. Basically, from the top of the rasp bar teeth, I've got, I'm trying to see here, it's the same thing all the way across. Pretty much right off the end of my finger, basically coming right off the end of my finger up to approximately that right at that first knuckle right there. And like I say, that usually works pretty good. And I've actually got it marked on the little chart on the outside because it's got an electric actuator that opens and closes the concave that you control from the cab. And there's like a little cable graph that goes up and down with numbers. And like I say, I've got it up on number 14. And however, it's never a bad idea. Just come back here, put your fingers into it, and check it that way. And of course, check your cob size as well. But yeah, that's how I set my concave clearance for doing corn. Okay, next thing, you're going to want to come around here on the right-hand side to the cylinder gear shift on your gearbox. You're going to want to take and pull this from high out to low. It's marked right there. Generally, the way I've got to get to move, well, right there it pulled over. But sometimes you got to grab the big rotor shiv down here and roll it. There we go. Okay, now the gear shift is pulled out. We're in low speed because I only run about, 260 to maybe 300 on my rotor RPM. I don't run real fast. Okay, we only have one more thing left to do, and this thing will be ready to put the corn head on. Okay, up here on the right-hand side of the throat, you have a belt setting. You gotta take and loosen up this idler right down side right there it is, and slow it down. You go from the big pulley here or from the small pulley here to the big pulley here. And down here on this end, you go from big to small. And that'll slow that feeder house chain down. Now, you can take this side panel off. I don't. Too much hassle. But just take and spin them double jam nuts up out of there. Then take a gear wrench and run that up high enough until you can get onto it with your deep well. Someday I should take and make me up a longer deep well. Okay, got that bottom nut spun up. Now, just make sure that does not spin clear off that big pull rod. Otherwise, the whole thing will drop down. Oop, almost. Okay, and that'll give you enough slack to come down here first. Take the belt clear off and clear down on the drive shaft. Then go back up here on top. Move it from small up to big. Make sure we're on. Go back down here on the front. Go back on the small side, and you're good to go. Now, tighten him up. I wish I could run that thing in all the way with that impact. It'd be a whole lot faster. And I usually take and run that nut down to where it's at least even with this piece here, this cover piece, or slightly below it. And that's got the belt good and snug. Okay, now ready to put the other jam nut on. Okay, that's got it. Besides greasing it, this machine is ready for the corn head. And so, I may do one change that I normally don't do. I just want to see if it'll make any difference. And I may take and change these blocks. This is what actually holds the feeder house chain drum at different heights. And normally I leave it in grain, the grain position. And what that does, as a grain goes under, it allows the feeder house to raise up to the top. And it'll go from here, it can come up against this top plastic bumper piece. But one thing I have noticed though is that sometimes some of our corn can especially if it's dry, it can want to crack, and I'm almost wondering if it's because of the feeder house chain laying on top of it. And so I may take and trip this block here to corn and just see if that'll help it out. Now the upper feeder house chain, due to the fact that it's got a smaller drum inside, it's got a lot more clearance underneath it. And so I'm not going to bother about changing that one, just the front one here. On these blocks, too small. It's got these little shock absorbers. I had to take this cover off after all. There's what that belt looks like with the cover off. But it's got these little shock absorbers, and what that does, it stops the feeder house chain from just wanting to sit there and bounce. It keeps it more firmed up a lot better. Like I say, normally I've always taken and just left it in the grain position, but okay, there's that one. But like I said, I'm kind of wondering if yeah, that shock definitely has some resistance to it. But like I say, I'm kind of wondering, I'll try and get down here. Well, I'll just take the camera off top of my head. If, as that's going underneath there, see as those slat bars are coming around, if that's not, is kind of wanting to chip the corn a little bit and cause some fines to show up. And so I'm going to take and raise this. Like I say, I don't have a, I'm not going to mess with the upper feeder house chain because I've got a smaller drum back there on that chain. It's 1 inch smaller. And so you got a lot more room to play with. Okay, now all you got to do is just take and loosen up this bolt, and that'll let, in fact, they're actually marked grain front. Now these blocks are actually made for both your front feeder house and your upper feeder house, or the back one. And it says grain front. You want that on top to run this front feeder house chain. Right here on this side, it says grain rear. And you put that side up back there on the back feeder house chain, and then right there it's marked corn. And you can see the difference, or the height difference right here from the bottom side up to here. You go and put corn up here. Now you can see how much more difference it is. It raises it up pretty near an inch, I would guess. So I'm going to grab my deep well and pop this piece off. Okay, and that's a 15/16 right there. Just taking. Okay, in fact, well, never mind. I'll show you here in a little bit. And you don't need to spin that out all the way. Once you get loosened up, we'll stick a pry bar underneath the front right here. But you see, without that shock, how it can flop up and down. What can happen, and in fact, I've actually seen it. It'll break around here. It'll begin to actually break the frame out. That's why it's got shocks on it. And it stops that from wanting to flop. Okay, but you have your pry bar, hold up, pull this piece here out. You may have to take and actually spin this out a little bit more. Try not to let it come clear out of the thing. And then get enough room. Well, maybe this one will do it. I've always had it on the R52s. I may have to take that clear out after all. Huh. Okay, there we go. You get that far enough that you can take them turned over. Now, I'll take you back off top of my head. Okay, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but I can see this side over here is definitely down a lot more than this side over here is. Let's see I'll see how well that does in corn, but hopefully that'll solve my problem. Okay, and you just take your ratchet, run your bolt back in. There we go. It's got plastic strips. It's never a bad idea to take and check on those at the beginning of the season. Just make sure they're in good shape, because sometimes they can begin to chew through and get clear down here into this little frame ledge that they bolt onto. If that happens, put new ones on. Okay, we're ready for the shock. screws on that bolt right there. And then if you can get the pull back apart, you put that bottom bolt in like that. Go ahead and throw your lock nut and flat washer on. Come on. There we go. Got a little rain coming down outside. I can hear it hitting the shed roof. There's that one. These here are actually 3/8. No, not 3/8. 5/8. Okay, there's that side. Now, let me grab my pry bar again. And kind of hard to see on camera, but pulling up and down, it pulls a whole lot harder. That's the purpose of the shock. It takes that flop out of it. Well, guys, since I've already showed you here on the right-hand side, the left-hand side is identical, same thing. And so I'll just show you one side. But, yeah, I just figured I'd at least give you an idea. And somebody's honking on the horn outside, being very annoying. But that at least give you an idea of what's going on and how to set up a combine for, well, an R72 that is, and R52 is going to be the same way, R62. That'll just give you an idea of how to set one up for corn. So take care. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.